Have you ever done an escape room? They're pretty cool. So these companies put these rooms together that kind of challenge you for, puzzle solving skills or problem solving skills, so to speak. They'll put you in a room and let's say there's a clue that tells you, there's a theme usually, like, I don't know, murder mystery, okay? And there'll be a clue that tells you about the murder weapon being stored in the drawer with a lock. And you have to find the key in the room or something like that. You find the key, you open the drawer, and then there's a clue that leads you to something else to where you keep having to go through until you finally find the key to get out the room. It's a really, really cool experience if you've never done one. I've never heard of any horror stories about escape rooms, but we're gonna watch some today by Nightmare Files, guys. Make sure to subscribe to his channel if you like scary stories. Subscribe to mine if you like reaction videos. And let's get into this one. Escape room horror stories. I'm ready, baby. I love Nightmare Files. Always good stuff. Story submitted by Anonymous PG and Ad. Okay, that's what it said. Story 1. Dun, dun, suspense.
My name is Brenda, and this story happened in October of 2018.
Dang, Brenda kind of sounds.
Me and my best friend Taylor, and our other two friends Joe and Liam, were driving around town bored, looking for something to do. We were a little drunk, and we had attended a house party earlier that night.
All right.
We eventually drove past an attraction. It was a Halloween-themed carnival with small rides, carnival games, and some stands and other activities.
Okay.
We each agreed that it looked fun. So Liam parked and we headed inside.
Drunk into
Liam
a carnival?
and Joe wanted to
Yeah,
grab
man.
some food somewhere. So me and Taylor said we would join them later as we wanted to have a look around.
Carnival food, man.
We didn't get to look very long, however, as we were stopped by this tall man who I assumed was an employee of the carnival.
Okay.
He was balding, had stained yellow teeth, and was wearing an orange polo t-shirt.
All right.
He had a name tag on, and the name read Greg. He
Hey,
asked me
Greg.
and Taylor if we were interested in doing an escape room. We agreed as it sounded fun.
Right.
Me and Taylor were giggling as we were following Greg to the escape room. I can't remember too much, but I remember me and Taylor walking into a dingy dark room and Greg saying, "Good luck," as he closed the door behind us and he locked it. Me and Taylor were stumbling around the room, laughing and trying to figure out how we needed to escape.
Did they just get
I remember wandering
trapped?
off into a corner of the room, thinking I saw something, when I heard a sort of scuffling behind me. I turned around and I could just about see across the room. Some man had grabbed Taylor and was holding his hand over her mouth, dragging her through a door that we didn't even notice.
Oh my
As
God.
I ran over to her to get closer, I could see it was Greg, the employee. He looked at me, paused for a moment, and let Taylor go, then started to laugh, saying that we failed.
Wow.
Taylor started to laugh as well. I didn't find it funny, however.
No, hell no.
From what I saw, it looked too real and aggressive to be staged. I was staring at Greg, and he was looking back at me like he was nervous about something.
Right.
He then said, "Okay, well, better luck next time," before he sort of escorted us out of the room.
Wow.
I watched Greg then speed walk into a parking lot and got in a car and drove off.
He
I
wasn't
started
even
to
an
sober
employee.
up after this experience, and I didn't find
guess
things funny
so.
anymore. Taylor asked if I was okay.
No,
I
Taylor.
asked if she thought it was weird about that man grabbing her the way he did. I
Right.
think Taylor was too
Complete
drunk
stranger.
to realize what was actually going on because she told me it was just part of the game. I
I
looked
don't
around
know,
at the
Taylor.
staff nearby who were working on food stands and carnival
None of them
games.
were dressed like Greg.
Every
huh?
single one of them were wearing a black t-shirt with carnival names on the front.
Sure.
None of them had on an orange polo or name tags.
Greg was
I
just
asked
a
a member
strange
of
and
the
I was
staff
trying to
if anyone working
find a
there
victim.
was wearing an orange polo shirt named Greg. They said no, their uniform is what you see,
Wow.
which was the black t-shirt. They also told me no person named Greg that they knew worked there at the carnival.
Dude.
I told them about
that's
what
messed
happened
up.
in the escape room and how a man had grabbed my friend. The staff member looked at me with concern on her face and told me to wait as she went and got her manager.
Yeah.
I spoke with the manager explaining the same thing of what happened. And the manager said the escape room was off limits. It's
Right.
closed for maintenance. After hearing this, Taylor didn't think it was part of the game anymore.
Exactly.
We eventually met up with Liam and Joe and told them what had happened.
Wow. Wow. Can
They
you
were just
imagine,
as
bro?
concerned as the rest of us.
I guess
We
so.
all agreed that it was time to go.
Yeah.
To think a man who was dressed up as a staff member and planned on kidnapping a girl is frightening. It's scary to think that if I hadn't heard a noise and saw him grabbing
You
Taylor,
wouldn't have known nothing.
this story could have ended up a lot worse.
Man. God, dude. The human trafficking, it scares. It really, really, really scares my family because there was some local cases around here a while back of people getting abducted, like around Walmarts and stuff.
My name is Billy.
Scary
Back
stuff,
in 2017, I was struggling to find work. I
Okay,
took
Billy.
pretty much any job I could find. I remember a website I used to post my interest in work on, and I would receive emails offering me different jobs.
Sure.
I
Like
got one
Craigslist and
email
stuff.
which was very unusual.
Mm.
It was to be tied up in
Did you get
chains
some
and
of
sit
the-
in a dark room.
Wait,
At
what?
first, I thought this couldn't be serious, but after contacting the person who sent the email, they explained that they needed someone to be tied up in the escape room. It wasn't what I would normally do, but I needed money and
So
the
it's
job
like a
sounded pretty
like an
straightforward.
I
I got in contact
like
with
an
a man
actor?
named Scott.
like an extra
I called
in
him
a
on the
show.
phone, and he told me about the job.
Right.
He asked if I knew anything about escape rooms and did I know what they were. And at that time, I really didn't know.
No.
I had heard about them, but I never saw anything.
I was kind of the
or
same the
experienced
first time I
escape
went
room
one.
myself.
I went with a
He
bunch of
explained
friends.
it was part of a game for me to be in the room chained up,
Right.
and people would have to figure out the puzzle to unlock me. I thought it was easy enough and accepted the job. Scott asked me if I was available the following weekend. I told him I was, and he gave me time and address to where to meet him.
Right.
That following Saturday night, I drove to a parking lot near a sports center to
Okay.
meet up with Scott. Scott was a bald man in his 30s with a goatee and was wearing mostly black clothes. I got in Scott's car and he drove me to the location of the escape room.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to make small talk with Scott and I asked about the escape room, but it was clear he wasn't much of a talker.
Right.
Couldn't remember much, if any, surroundings.
He didn't want to
because it was
bond
too
with his
dark.
victim, is what it was.
We
probably.
arrived at the location of the escape room and Scott showed me the back room of the building. It was an old and rundown building. I asked how
Not
come the
good.
building looked like it did.
It's a murder
He
trap.
paused for a moment and looked around the room before saying, it was just the look of it. Scott offered me a drink. I told him I wasn't thirsty,
Right.
but he was very persistent.
Oh.
He told me
So
it
he was
gets
trying to
very
drug
hot
you?
in that room, and eventually I said yes. Scott then went into another room to get a drink for me. I was expecting him to bring back a bottle of water or
Right.
something, but he brought back a paper cup. I asked him what it was, and he said it's just water.
Nope.
I drank the small cup of water,
Drug
and then
water.
Scott asked me if I was ready. I told him yes. Scott brought me into another room and set me down on a chair and tied me up. He
Bruh.
tied me up tighter than I
a
expected,
bad
with
feeling
padlocks
about
and
this.
metal chains. He said don't worry, he's just monitoring the room just in case anything happens. Before closing the door behind him and leaving me in a dark room chained up. It wasn't long before I started to feel funny,
Yeah.
like I was feeling dizzy and
Right.
sleepy all of a sudden.
Drugged, man.
I didn't pass out right away. My vision started to
They
get
trying
blurry.
to steal your kidneys,
Then
boy.
one of the doors in the room opened, and about 3 or 4 men walked in with masks and started to approach me. And that's when I passed out.
Can you imagine?
I woke up to the police officer shaking me and asked me if I was okay. I looked around, and I was in the middle of a field. I wasn't tied up anymore, but my clothes were stretched and damaged. I asked the police officer what was going on. He told me that I was being kidnapped, and I had been drugged, and the men in the building were in the middle of dragging me toward a car.
Wow.
I later found out more details that a security guard who monitored the buildings, he saw a group of men with masks inside the building carrying weapons.
How lucky.
Honestly, I think I'm the luckiest person in the world
Yeah.
that security guard was there and he called for help,
Wow, man.
as I probably wouldn't be alive to tell this story today.
That is crazy, man. Oh god, that sends chills up my spine. I couldn't imagine, bro. I could not imagine.
My name is Nicole, and this incident happened in 2019.
All right, Nicole.
One night I was on Facebook killing some time. As I was waiting for my friends to pick me up, we were planning on going to an escape room that night.
All right.
I posted a picture of the escape room we were going to, with some words about me
Trapdoor
looking
escape
forward
room.
to it. I
Surviving
looked
and
down at my
timing is
phone
key.
and I saw a text from one of my friends saying that they were on their way.
All right.
When I looked back at my Facebook, I noticed someone had liked my post and messaged me. It was
Okay.
someone named Derek. I didn't know anyone named Derek. He was telling me how he liked escape rooms as well, and he
Okay.
asked if he could come along. I replied asking who this guy was.
Just like,
Derek ignored my question and responded saying he's really good at escape rooms,
no,
and we should let him join us.
no.
I clicked on his
A
account, which
stranger?
had little to no information and no profile picture before I blocked him. There was a knock at my front door. I assumed it was my friends picking me up.
Right.
When I opened the
Is
front
there?
door, there was no one there at my doorstep and there were no cars around. I thought I was just hearing things and went back inside.
What? You don't
I
find
heard a
that
knock again about
coincident?
45 minutes later. This time it was one of my friends. I got in the car and we headed to the escape room. Me and my friends were having a great time in the escape room.
Right.
It was really creepy, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
That all changed, however, when we got to the room with a TV and a DVD player. There were discs laying around the room.
Okay.
And we had to watch the disc on the DVD player
Sure.
because there would be clues on how to figure out a puzzle that we were doing.
Right.
My friends spread out around the room looking for the disc. One of my friends, Sally, said there's a disc with my name on it. I laughed thinking it was a massive coincidence, but
Right.
it didn't mean anything significant with me.
Mm.
When we played the disc, I was mortified with what I saw. It was footage of my house.
Oh,
Someone
no.
was recording from a close distance. Then you could see me open the door and look around,
Right.
shortly before turning around and heading back inside. At first, I thought it was my friends playing a joke on me, but after asking them, they all said they had nothing to do with it.
So was it the escape room
They
company
weren't
or
the
just
type
somebody
of friends
that
to play
kind of...
pranks anyway. I eventually
stalking
put
you?
the pieces together and realized it was probably that guy Derek who messaged me.
Right.
I didn't feel like doing the escape room anymore.
Yeah.
So my friends dropped me off at home. My friends said not to worry about it. There's probably just some weirdo trying to get attention.
I mean,
That night I logged
that's
into my
something to
Facebook
worry
and I
about,
saw
though.
I had a message. I was hesitant to open it. A part of me knew it was going to be that guy.
Yeah.
Someone named Derek this time, with 2 R's, said, "Did you enjoy the escape room?" I felt sick and was about to reply asking him why he was doing this to me,
Just block him.
but I couldn't because the account blocked me. I discussed this incident with my friends and family, and we think it was someone who worked at the escape room who was playing a very cruel and creepy prank.
I
I didn't find any humor in this.
No.
The fact that someone messaged me, knew where I lived, and wanted me to find a film of them spying on me makes me sick.
Yeah.
It also frightens me that I
That's-
still don't know who or why this person
That's
did
a
what
lot
they
of
did.
effort to mess with your head. You know what I mean? Oh man, that's cruel. Personally, I'm a police caller. Okay, when stuff like this happens, I at least want to report it. That way, if anything, if I have to call in with a second issue, there's some history on it. You know what I mean? You ever try to tell somebody something and they didn't believe you? They like, whoa, what are you talking about? If you would have talked about this same thing before it escalated to the point that you felt like you needed to call a cop, before, a couple times especially, it'd be like, okay, this person is really having an incident. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's crazy though. Nightmare Files, guys. Make sure to subscribe to them. And me if you like reaction videos. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.